Welcome to Bibles and Bourbon. It's a group of guys, Christian guys, talking about controversial topics in our society. Whether you're a Christian or not, you're going to find these topics of interest, and hope you'll join in the conversation. Drop us some comments in our videos and give us some feedback on what you think about the things we're talking about. So tonight we are going to be talking about alcohol and what Christians think of alcohol.
It's in our name.
It is in the name. So we figured it's a perfect topic.
Bibles
And bourbon.
Exactly. So yeah, guys, we're going to be talking about what we think about that. As Christians, do we think alcohol is flat out a sin, as many Christians think? Do we think that it's totally fine and no limits, no standard of that? Is there somewhere in between? And ultimately, as our name says, what does the Bible say about alcohol? So, guys, where do we want to start with this? What are we thinking?
Where do you have us starting?
Where do I have us starting?
Perfect.
Well, actually, I would just start out by just saying, I did a little search about alcohol. You can Google it. Anyone watching this video can Google it, and you'd get a million different articles and thoughts, and you could research all kinds of different opinions about alcohol. And as long as I've been alive, and much longer than I've been alive, Christians have debated about alcohol and where you should stand on that. You can talk to some very influential and respectful Christians that would just flat out say it's wrong, stay away from it, it's evil. And then you have other ones that say, no, that's not true. It's fine to drink alcohol, stay away from getting drunk, but it's fine to have drinks every once in a while. So there's definitely that type of issue that's going on in the Christian world, where there's debate about that. And again, respectful people completely on different sides of things. So that's one thing I just wanted to kind of drop there to talk about. I know me personally, I've had friends who've shared with me as Christians that after church on Sunday, they literally go to a bar with their pastor and they sit down and have drinks. I've known... You got something?
I was going to say there's actually a church right now that, like, before the service is starting, they're, like, selling beer at their church. And, like, it was on the news as, like, is this a good way
I did
to...
not hear that.
Yeah.
I had no clue about that.
They've been doing this, and it was
So
like...
they got a tap in the back of the cafe where they're...
It's a keg.
Yeah,
that's
so
where
the
you,
question
that's where you
is,
donate.
like, is this a good way to
Wow.
bring people to faith is by introducing alcohol into the church and stuff. So a church is actually doing this.
Do you know what it is? Can you just drop it right on the video now with the name of church? Everybody's going to...
I don't know the name. I saw it on the news when I was at work.
Could you
find
find
out.
it?
It's
Could you
legit.
find it?
I'll find it, yeah.
All right, watch this. Watch this. Ready? The name of the church is going to be right here. Boom. You see it? You see it, guys, right there?
Wow, that's awesome. Amazing, Mike.
Yeah.
Good job. So I remember years ago, another church did like a bar rescue where they had certain guys go out to the bar, have some drinks, hang out with people at the bar, and get people saved. I've known people who had personal convictions about this that have been influenced by their upbringing. I know my upbringing, my parents basically, they personally, before they even became Christians, they struggled with alcohol. So they basically were teaching me as a kid that alcohol is like evil, stay away from it, don't do anything, don't have anything to do with it. I know other people who've had experiences where their parents have abused it, and they've not only abused it themselves, but had bad effects by drinking it and getting drunk and being verbally abusive to their children. So you have that type of background as well that kind of makes somebody, I would say, influences them and their maybe opinion, their interpretation of the Bible. I definitely think your history. I know me personally growing up, I had my parents tell me one thing, but I also had my older brother. Maybe he'll be watching this video one day. My older brother, when he was younger, he was totally into drinking a ton, and he partied at the house when we were gone type of thing. And to me, as his younger brother, it was a total, like, I got to stay away from alcohol. Like, alcohol is an evil thing. I actually see it in my older brother. It's wreaking havoc on him and on our family a bit too. So I did have that. And for years, I would just flat out say I stayed away from alcohol. Not that I didn't have it at all. Like when I turned 21 was legitimately the first time I actually had a strawberry daiquiri with some alcohol in it. That was like my first drink, following the law of the land, 21 years old.
Which I want to talk about later.
Okay, and then I barely ever had it because I knew it was something that I saw in my childhood being a bad, evil thing. It wreaked havoc on people. So that's where I'm just going to intro and say, okay, boom, guys. That's where people are all over the place. You're all over the place watching this thing. People have opinions. What does the Bible say? Where do things lie? Mike, what do you
Okay,
say?
so since you bring up a topic that I wanted to talk about, so you said you waited till you're 21 until you had your first drink.
Correct.
And
Except for maybe when I was like 7 and my dad gave me a sip of his beer, okay? But
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just...
That's
okay,
different.
That's different.
So we'll get more into it, but like getting drunk, the Bible is very specific about that is a sin and stuff like that. But a lot of people would agree and say that just casually drinking is fine. So if drinking alcohol is okay and not a sin as long as you're not getting drunk and abusing it, is it wrong to drink before you're 21?
Whoa.
The Bible doesn't have in the Bible they didn't have an age limit. And other countries have different age limits.
Well, you're jumping on two things I'm going to say quickly. One is that you just immediately went to if it's okay, if it's not wrong, then you're talking age. So you're kind of already given your opinion maybe, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're just kind of jumping to it. But okay, let's just put that aside. Whether it's right or not, biblically speaking, if it was right, you're going to say, is it wrong to drink it before 21? Okay, good question. What do you think, man?
Is it wrong to drink before 21? How about we take the law out? Or do you want to stick with the law? Which one do you want to tackle? Okay, let's tackle the law. I know Jesus says to like give to Caesar what is Caesar's, like follow the law of the land. So I think it's hard to say if legally and as Christians we should follow that law, because I mean it is a law, so we should be following that. As far as age, like, is it wrong to give a child alcohol? Or is it wrong? Is it a sin for children to be drinking alcohol? I think it's just the intent behind it. I mean, I was stupid when I was a kid, so I went about everything for the wrong reason. Went and got alcohol, underage. So that's a 2-for-1 right there. So I think follow the law, because Jesus says follow the law of the land, stuff like that. Giving alcohol to kids, I don't know. It just depends on the motivation, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, giving the alcohol to the kids like that seems wrong. But like if you're underage and something like that, and like you go to a party and like you drink casually, that you would say is technically wrong because you're not obeying and honoring the law system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then this video is gonna open up so many other things. But okay, so then. And this is the dad saying it, but so when you go 57 miles per hour on a 55, you're not following the law of the land.
Yeah.
And
It just is
Yeah.
keep going.
I don't know. I guess we could bring up a lot of other things too. But as a father, I would say follow the law of the land. So, if you're in Canada, I guess, and it's 18, okay, then it's okay to have it. And if you're in some other foreign country where it's 16 or something, then it's okay to have it. But if you're in the United States, I guess, if the law is 21, then you should be doing the best you can to do that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
I would just say motivation. What's your intent behind it? I know that they introduce it younger in different countries because it's more of a cultural thing, whereas here it's like a party thing. So it's really just your intent, why you're doing it. If you are a minor, why are you doing it? Is it for the wrong reason to just get drunk? Is it to, like, maybe have a bond with somebody, like a father-son type thing? I guess it really depends on intent.
Well, his mother grew up Italian family where it's like, yeah, it's almost an expectation that you're going to have
Yeah.
some wine with dinner or something, so, or at least once a week or something. So, yeah, again, you're culturally talking about that. So, again, the intent, I would almost go to the part of, like, where are you having it could be part of the intent as well. If it's you're with your family and you're having a little glass and it's just what the cultural family thing does versus you're at a party and everybody's getting smashed and you're having some, that seems a little bit more like,
Yeah.
breaking the law, and you're really pushing a lot of things that we haven't even addressed yet in this topic. So,
Yeah.
so what does the Bible say? You guys got some scriptures. I got some scriptures. Anything come to your mind as far as what the Bible says?
I mean, right off the bat, we all know the one, don't get drunk with wine. I'm pretty sure that Jesus probably said that. But he also, maybe he didn't say that. But I know Jesus did drink wine with everybody, so I know that drinking itself is definitely not a sin because Jesus is truth, so you can't sin. He was perfect. So I think drinking in general is okay.
He was the ultimate bartender.
Whoa, Jesus was a bartender now?
He was the ultimate bartender.
He made the
Just-
drink, man. He made that. He whipped
He
it
was
up.
the first bartender.
So
Anyway.
one thing that you brought up and I read a while ago that kind of blew my mind is that like we all are like, yeah, Jesus turned water into wine, yeah. But like if you actually like pull up the verses and read the story of what actually happened, like they were drinking and stuff, and they like
This is
were-
John 2.
Is a wedding,
John 2,
wasn't
the
it?
wedding.
Yep, and they like ran out or something, and it says that Jesus saved the best wine for last.
Yes.
So
Right.
he like made the best of the best for last, and I think that's I have never heard about that, and I thought that was just a cool concept that he didn't like make it a little grape juice with a little bit of alcohol. Like he made some good stuff, like some bourbon and stuff for everyone.
Yes.
That's true. That's kind of hard to argue that particular scripture. I'm sure some people on the video, you can drop us some comments about that. But Jesus turns water into wine. It's the best wine. He gives it to everybody. I think if he was like so diehard that it's sinful, you can't have it. It doesn't even make sense that Jesus would then make wine for everybody if he personally is like, this stuff is evil. It's literally sinful. He wouldn't
Yeah.
be making it. Doesn't make any sense. There's a scripture in Ephesians 5:18, actually Ephesians 5:1-20, that has so many different things that the Bible says don't do. I mean, I don't even want to list them all, but there were so many different things that in my mind as I'm reading, I'm like, man, if alcohol was a sinful thing, you can't do it as a Christian, that would have made a perfect place for the Bible to say that.
Yeah.
It was hammering, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It didn't say that. It said don't get drunk. So that's again where you're like, man, like if it was sinful, it would have said don't drink alcohol because there's so many other don'ts.
Yep.
So to me, that was a strong one as well. 1 Timothy 3 talks about like the Bible's given different instructions for leaders, elders, deacons, or whatever in the church, and even says deacons don't give yourself to much wine. So again, this is being a leader of the church. Don't drink much wine. It didn't say drunk. Maybe some interpretations would say that type of thing, but it didn't say don't have any. Stay away from it. Again, that's another, like the Bible could have been very clear and said that, hey, if you're a leader in the church, you cannot have any. Didn't say that. To me, it's like just a few different scriptures in the Bible just make it, to me, pretty clear that drinking alcohol is fine. It's the drunk part. And I think that's, as a Christians, that's the part that we can be a slippery slope. I don't know what your thoughts are, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time. We sing new wine, stuff like that. So the Bible is very repetitive about new wine out of me. Yeah, I see you. It's very repetitive about new wine. Don't put wine in new.
Wineskin?
Yeah, stuff like that. But then I was reading over here. It's talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, and it says their wine is the venom of serpents, the deadly poison of cobras. So I think there is really I wonder if we look back and we look at what it stood for, like wine, I think maybe back then it could have been something a bit heavier. Like maybe it just wasn't talking about alcohol. And probably in that day, it was normalized. So like it was probably just way different than what we think of drinking is now. Like that is a big verse right there, that our wine is the venom of serpents, because he's probably before that talking about new wine and stuff like that. So I think there are different weights that are put on the word wine that maybe we don't understand.
You're getting to the point of like different strengths of the
Yeah,
We're
so
talking about the different strengths. Of
Yeah.
drinks. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I mean, even bourbon is a little bit stronger than having a beer. You know, and then there's obviously other things out there that are even stronger that pretty much kick your butt pretty fast.
yeah, I just wonder if in this verse it's talking about like what wine means to some people, like it's just intake. So like just looking at it, their wine is venom. So like, does wine in the Bible stand for like what we intake from God? So maybe us today are looking at it as just wine, but back then it meant something totally different.
Right.
So I look at that and I see both sides.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta look at the context,
Yep.
which that's for the Bible nerds.
All right, so guys, conclusion. Let's check this one off. Is it wrong to drink alcohol?
No.
No.
Bible
No.
says a couple different scriptures we can give, and I was just obviously a few that we could reference, but
Yep.
it's not wrong to drink. Christians, it's okay to drink alcohol. Okay. So then what we've consistently seen is the whole part about getting drunk.
Yeah.
Okay. Not getting drunk. Other topics that have to do with alcohol, though, besides just, okay, it's okay to drink, and you can't get drunk, but there's a lot in between. What do you got?
So, like we're talking about, okay, getting drunk is wrong, but just simply drinking is fine. But there's a topic about this that also makes drinking wrong, and it's your intent. I believe is like you can. A lot of people idolize alcohol, and they treat it as an idol. For example, I'm talking about when someone is having a very stressful day and like just completely crazy. They're very stressed out, and they're like they go home, and then the first thing they do is like they crack open a beer or something, and like that is their source to relieve their stress. I believe drinking in that context is also wrong, because instead of going home after a stress day or during your day and going to God with the stress, you're going to alcohol. And because you're replacing God with the alcohol, that would be considered an idol. And so I think it's wrong in that way. So I've been making a list of, I'm not 21 yet, so I've been making a list of rules I want to follow when I turn 21 and I'm drinking. And one of my rules, I said, is when I'm stressed and have a really rough day, before I drink any alcohol, I'm going to pray, read my Bible, and go to God first, because I don't want alcohol to become an idol.
I think it becomes an idol when you use it as a crutch almost, and that's what you're saying people go to, a crutch. Like, I had a crappy day, we just drink something, or like just try and forget things. Don't use it as a crutch. That's when it becomes something more than just having a drink.
Yeah, I like that. Anything that's replacing you going to God. And so, yeah, that could be anything. I mean, it's alcohol, but for some people it's just eating, it's exercise, it's whatever. It's something where it becomes an idol. I mean, obviously, like, exercise is a positive thing, and hey, go burn off your stress. I mean, I've felt that way forever, but those things can all turn into idols. Any one of those things. That's good. What about stumbling block? Being a stumbling block for somebody. The Bible definitely talks about, as Christians, don't be a stumbling block to others. What do you guys think as far as, could alcohol be a stumbling block to somebody else?
Oh, definitely. If they have problems with it, I'm pretty sure Paul's the one that said it. Like, if it's a sin for somebody else, then it becomes a sin for you when you're around that person. You don't want to become a stumbling block for somebody else. Like, if you're going out and drinking and you know they have a drinking problem, that is probably not the best idea. Go play Nerf guns or something like that. Like, you should be aware of that, and that is a serious thing.
Right. That's good. I know there's definitely times when I've been around somebody. I can think of my wife and I getting together with one couple of ours that the wife was a recovering alcoholic. It's like, okay, we're not going to drink around so-and-so, because that's not good. Yeah. That's just going to cause her to want to have a drink. Got to stay away from that.
Yeah, and also in my list is to be mindful of who you're drinking around, and being mindful of that. Are they struggling with alcoholism, and do they have a past with it? Did their family have a bad past with it, stuff like that. And so also considering who you're drinking around is important because you could hinder someone else.
I think for a Christian that says, "Hey, that's like their problem," or "Hey, I'm okay to do that," I think that's somebody who's maybe that's an idol. Maybe that's where you're getting that. Like if you are like, "I've got to have a drink. This person's got a problem. I don't need to worry about that." I think then you've obviously got a problem then, where you're not caring about the effect on somebody else. Then yeah, you may be not somebody who gets drunk with it, but you obviously have got some type of problem going on there. It's becoming an idol, and it's an issue for you. Yeah. What about appearances of evil? So here's what I'm going to give you. This is legit. Happened in at the church I have gone to for the last 20-some years. Way back in the day, one of my buddies was a youth leader. I believe you're a youth leader. So he was a youth leader at the church, and I would sometimes go over to his apartment, and there were cans and cans. I would just roughly guess maybe 100 beer cans in his apartment, very visible for anybody to see. And I'm just thinking to myself, yo, so-and-so, if you have you have somebody from the youth group coming over to your apartment, and it's an apartment with just a bunch of dudes, and some kid comes over to your apartment to hang out with you and sees 100 beer cans all in your kitchen and stuff, and some of them are, stacked nicely and cool designs, and some of them are just like out of control, just in piles everywhere. Like, what does that say to the teenage kid? What does that say to them?
Well, that's also a stumbling block. You got to be mindful of who you're around. Like, that's impacting future people.
Yeah.
So that is where, even if they aren't just getting drunk, like maybe that
Right.
accumulated over 3 years, 100 beer cans,
Exactly,
whatever.
yeah.
I still think that is a visual. So that is that's what people see and understand.
Yeah.
They don't know the whole thing. So I think you should be mindful of who you're being visible to when it comes to that.
That was what you said. That phrase there was basically, you said that could have been over, what did you say, like 10 years or something?
Like 100 beer cans for a year,
Yeah.
365 days.
Exactly. But for a teenage kid walking in the apartment, they're like, oh, shoot, these guys had a big party and they all went crazy, and that was consumed this weekend.
Yeah.
That's why that youth leader ain't bringing no kids to his apartment.
Well, it had to be like, dude, like something's not right here, dude. You realize that the appearance here is really bad.
Yes.
Appearance of evil, you call it just, hey, it's just another word for, it's a stumbling block. I like that. You got to be careful of that as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, you just got to be mindful of who you're drinking around. What else we got here? What other topics come to mind? How about, well, I'll give you a moment. Anything jumps out to you?
Not really.
Freeze it, okay. So, a buddy of mine, he stays away from alcohol because his family, genetically, he would say, genetically speaking, he has a disposition or whatever, predisposed or whatever to alcohol, and that it's just genetically it's in his family. He may even have some type of alcoholic gene in a sense that's just going to pull him away. So he is personally chosen. It's like a personal conviction. He knows me. He knows that I'll drink. He doesn't think I'm sinning. He just knows I'm personally taking a stance that I don't know what it's going to personally do to me, so I'm going to stay away from it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So the question I had is that some people, I know definitely don't always drink alcohol because of taste, and they're like, oh, I love the taste of it, but how it makes them feel. I'm not saying drunk,
Yeah,
all right?
no,
Not
that's a
saying
good
drunk,
point.
but
Buzz.
how it makes them feel.
Yeah.
So would that be wrong of drinking not only because of taste, but because of how it can make you feel?
I think so.
He just dropped the mic. I think.
Drop the mic. I think so. Because then it's the total wrong intent. Like, you're almost like finding a crutch. Like, I don't feel good with myself right now, how I am. I'm not content with myself.
No, say you are content. You're content, you're happy, you prayed to God before you drank, you did all of it, but you like to drink because of how
Well,
it
then
makes you feel.
something is lacking. No matter what, you could say I'm content, but something deep down is lacking. It's almost like people smoking weed. My friend has been smoking weed for like the past 5 years, and he will not stop because he knows he's not the same without it. So something in your life, if you are doing that just to feel that, is lacking somewhere.
All right, this is gonna get good. Okay, so you were saying that it is basically wrong if you are drinking alcohol not because of taste but because of feeling. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is because people are addicted to coffee. Coffee is a drug. You can get addicted to
shoot.
it,
Yep.
and you drink coffee based on how it makes you feel.
He's going
So
there.
if you
Caffeine.
feel that way about
Caffeine's a
coffee,
drug.
like I am, I'm a
Don't say coffee, just say caffeine.
I'm a
It's
caffeine coffee addict, and I drink it, and I like the way it makes me feel.
You already said the answer. You're addicted to it. That is a crutch for something lacking.
But it's so I'm.
You have taken
it's
it
a me
too.
problem.
You have taken it too much, so now it becomes an issue. It's almost. I hate to say it, but it's basically the same thing like sex. You have it too much, and then you have an addiction to it. It's the same thing. It applies across the whole board. No matter what kind of addiction you have, there's something lacking where you need to make up for it.
Let's say I'm not even addicted to coffee. I just drink it because it makes me feel good.
I was going to say, hang on. Addiction, I guess, is a tough definition. So
Yes.
addiction typically is like, you've got to have it. You have symptoms. If you don't have it, you're compulsively needing
Yeah.
it. Versus somebody who, I get up every day, I casually have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Is that an
yeah.
addiction?
Let's
'Cause
throw-
you
let's-
probably
yeah.
have 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. Is that an addiction?
No. Throw
No.
addiction out the window. Just
Okay.
forget about that.
Okay.
But just drinking coffee based on how it makes you feel, how it wakes you up, it gets your heart going. You're drinking it based on feeling. So why is it
Well,
wrong
that's
if you do
anything.
the same thing with
Isn't it
alcohol?
anything?
That
Like,
is
hey.
totally anything. I want a donut today because of
Yeah.
my feeling.
Exactly.
Or
So
soda.
the
But
same
you
way
are
would be for
you are
alcohol,
now
correct?
stimulating something with this. If you're saying I like this buzz, so I'm going to do it every day because I like the way that feels, then you're lacking.
You said buzz. I don't know if he was saying
Yeah,
buzz.
I wasn't saying
He's just
a
saying, hey, I'm
buzz,
just going to have a
like
glass
how it makes
of...
you feel.
Well, how it makes you feel. The feeling would be buzzed, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily.
I
no.
think that's what it would be.
Yeah.
I think that's... I don't know what other feeling you get
Yeah.
from
What other
drinking
feeling do you
alcohol.
get from drinking?
Sure. We'll say
So
buzz.
if you're getting buzzed, then that means that if you have to do that every day because you like that
you don't have
feeling,
to do it every day.
because
It's
you
just-
if you like that feeling and you keep going after that, eventually it's going to add up to an addiction. So I think doing it because you like it and it slowly becomes a pattern
No,
is
but
the
it doesn't
start.
become a pattern. Say there's no pattern. You just
So
do
just
it
once-
like maybe once
once a
every
week,
weekend. Like
randomly...
on a Friday or a
Okay, so
random-
you literally just said, no, we're not doing a pattern. But once every weekend, there is a subtle pattern no matter what. And there's intent behind that, isn't there? Like, I'm going to drink this so I can feel good.
Right.
So the intent is bad.
Okay. So basically, drinking is only okay if you don't get drunk and you do it with the intent of this tastes good. Right. That's what we're
think
talking. That's what
taste-
we're saying.
And I was going to ask, this kind of goes along with that. How do you feel about father son? Have you ever done that before? Maybe you haven't. I just did it yesterday with an older person from our church.
Wait, what are you asking? Have
Like-
him and I have
Yeah.
a beer
So
together?
yeah. So the intent is bad. If you intend for it to be about drinking and about getting drunk and getting buzzed, it's bad. But if it's about like the taste or maybe a bond between somebody, is that okay?
I think totally, because we'll bring it back to the Bible. That was they were at a wedding, you said, and they were together and they were drinking, and the drinking was basically to bond them together, bring
Yeah.
them together and stuff like that. So drinking in groups or going out to a bar together and stuff like that, or just doing any kind of setting where you're together is not wrong, because in the Bible that's what happens.
As long as there's good intent. I'm just finding
Yes.
new ways, like, where is it good? So that's where I'm coming from. Is it
Right.
okay if there's a bonding moment going on?
So go back to your question. He's not 21 yet, so no, we have not had a bonding moment where we've gone out and had a couple beers.
Gotcha.
It's in the books, though.
It's in the book. It's written down.
It's kind of in the books, that, and it maybe not even just father son, but
A month and 3 days.
it'll be mom and
I'm not
dad
counting,
takes their
though.
son out
Yes.
and his girlfriend, and the four of us all have drinks on mom and dad's paycheck.
So is it okay for like a dad to give his son, like you said, you've done that before?
My son, my dad gave me a sip when I was 7.
I've had that before with my
Yeah, yeah.
dad. Is that okay with the intent of I'm trying to make this bond? I, as a father, I'm not a father. I, as a father, not trying to get you drunk. I'm just trying to bond with you. Like, hey, this is adult thing.
Sorry, I'm
Try
laughing,
it.
man, but I'm just like, dude, isn't there a couple other ways you could bond with
Probably.
your son besides having beer? I mean, I think there's a million
Probably.
other ways that hopefully him and I have bonded that had nothing to do with a beer. And I personally don't think that's a good thing. I'm not going to, I guess I don't have a quick opinion off the top of my head of what the Bible would say about that, but I would just say, I don't know if that's necessarily what you want to do with your kid, of like
Gotcha.
setting them up to, hey, we're going to drink every once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe I think me personally, if I was to do that with him, I feel like I would be setting him up to that he would be very familiar and comfortable with it at a young age, so that when he was more out of my eyesight, he would be much more comfortable drinking
Yes.
it and maybe fall into some bad patterns of his life. So I wouldn't want to get him started doing that.
Yeah.
And I like to take the stance of, I'm a black and white type of guy, so I am about follow the law and this and that, and be responsible with it. And when you're 21, go ahead, have some drinks, but from a very young age, hopefully he's been kind of taught, be responsible about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Follow
know
my
the
pattern.
father-son view on it, since this is a father-son show kind of thing.
I can imagine that could be something down the road, that it would be like, hey, once a month we're going to go out and get some beers and
Yeah.
some dinner and hang out. That could be something.
It's definitely different when you're older. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I would almost find there's probably other things I would rather do personally. Maybe other dads would think differently, but I think personally I'd be like, isn't there probably other things that are
Yeah, I
maybe
get
better
that.
to do?
Yeah.
But
Throw
whatever.
a ball around. Yeah.
So that concludes our episode of Bibles and Bourbon. I hope you liked the video and the conversation. Feel free to subscribe, and also in the comment section below, type any topics you want us to talk about or any ideas that you were thinking about while listening to this. Thank you. See you next episode.
Later.
Peace.